Hi everyone. In this video, I will show the HairCard Creator 1.2.4 update. This version includes several new tools and improvements: more precise, twist curve control, an updated custom mode, a new curve for UV distribution, duplicate and fill commands, easier hotkey assignment, and a few technical improvements for mirror and scene data recovery. Let's start with a small but useful change to the twist curve. Previously, the editor could feel too sensitive, especially when making small adjustments. The curve now has a scale parameter. At a value of 1, it behaves roughly like the previous version, with stronger twist changes. The default is now 0.25, which gives you about 4 times more precision when editing the curve. You can adjust the value further to match the task. The next major change is Custom Mode. Previously, the entire profile was edited in one mode. The editor is now split into 3 tabs: Start, End, and Interp. This adds more control and makes it possible to build more complex custom profiles. The Start tab works much like before. Here, you create the initial card cross-section. Elements inside a custom cross-section are now shown in different shades, so it is easier to see which element you are editing. The new End tab lets you set the final position of the cross-section separately. In other words, a profile can start with one shape and end with another. For example, elements can narrow, spread apart, or shift their position toward the end of the card. In the Interp tab, you can control how the start cross-section transitions into the end cross-section. You can use a linear transition or a smoother spline option. The transition can be edited for the entire profile or separately for each element. This gives custom mode much more control. You can build complex profiles where every element has its own start position, end position, and interpolation curve. The next addition is related to UVs. In some cases, you need more precise control over how a card is distributed along the alpha texture. For this, I added the UV spacing curve. It lets you compress or stretch the UV distribution along the card. For example, you can compress the area near the root or stretch the part closer to the tip. It depends on the alpha texture and on the result you want from the card. This does not replace the main UV settings. It adds another layer of control for cases where regular scale and move are not enough. There is also a new duplicate command. It simply copies selected guides and cards in the same position. This is useful when you want to create an exact copy first, then move or edit it separately, or use it as a starting point for another shape. Another new command is Fill. Fill lets you close the gap between selected cards. You select 2 or more cards and the tool automatically adds interpolated guides between them. This is useful when there is an empty area in the hairstyle and you need to quickly add intermediate cards between shapes that are already set up. You can change the number of generated guides so the fill can be denser or lighter depending on the situation. The next change is related to Maya's Hotkey Editor. HairCard Creator commands are now easier to find there. They use a clear prefix so you can quickly locate the command you need and assign your own shortcut. This is especially useful for actions you use often: adding guides, editing, copying, fill, duplicate, and other repeated operations. There are also small improvements to Mirror. Mirror can now work with cards whose root has been unlocked with Unlock Root. Previously, these cases were limited because the guide no longer had its usual attachment to the scalp. This workflow is now better supported. One more technical improvement is scene reliability. The scene now stores more recovery data about card structure. This gives Heal more information to work with if some data becomes damaged or is lost. This does not mean you should ignore saves and backups, but in case of a problem, the plugin now has a better chance of restoring the card state correctly. So, version 1.2.4 includes more precise twist curve control, an expanded custom mode, the new UV spacing curve, duplicate and fill commands, easier integration with Maya's Hotkey Editor, improved mirror support for unlocked roots, and more reliable scene data recovery. Thanks for watching.